All right. Gentlemen, thanks for sitting through that as I welcome Mark McLaughlin to the program. Nick's no stranger, but Mark, you're new to the program. Thank you for coming in.
Rod, pleasure to be here. Thank you.
There's a lot of
setup you got.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun in here. Yeah. We try to have a locker room sort of
setup.
setup.
You got to have it. Yeah.
You ever been mistaken for Matt Dunnigan?
Never.
Are you serious?
No, never.
Man, okay. Yeah. Nick, you see it, don't you? Don't you see it?
A little bit. Matty brought me into the CFL. I think just his,
swagger?
Swagger. Like just Matty just.
Matt is Matt.
Matt, well, I'm not saying you're like him. I'm just saying you look like him, Mark.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, good, exactly. But a lot of people would say, Mark McLaughlin's in Regina. I did. I was like, what? Can you explain what your life's up to post CFL?
And on days like today, I do too.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
No, Rod, I had a really good opportunity that came to me about almost 2.5 years ago now, which was a position in executive government in Saskatchewan, heading up the Ministry of Advanced Education, basically providing oversight to all the post-secondaries in the province. Certainly my background was post-secondary, a little bit of finance, a little bit of governance, and so it was an opportunity for me to take kind of all of my experience post sort of football, wrap it into one opportunity for a career, and embark on it here in Saskatchewan, where we have a sector that is I think kind of a nice size, because obviously a smaller province, a number of institutions that you can actually mobilize a little bit, and a pretty stable government. And so in these roles, you look for not just the opportunity and the challenge, but you also look at the political environment as well, and the opportunities there. So there was a lot of boxes that checked off for me, and certainly Regina was not on my radar. And so it was a shock to make the decision, but it's been a great 2.5 years, and looking forward to more.
How much of this career overlapped with your football career?
Well, I always worked, Rod, and Nick will attest to this, that kickers don't really do much unless it's game day, and for the entire part of my career with Wally at the helm, we had an agreement that I would not necessarily come to training camp. I'd show up kind of at the last part of training camp just so that they could use my spot. I worked throughout my football career. I had an office downtown Calgary. I had a number of different things on the go. Business was a real sort of priority for me. And so football was very secondary, and I never anticipated it ending up being a sort of a 17-year career. I was always sort of, looking at year by year after year 2, 3, thinking, at any point in time, this can be taken away. And so I'd always sort of built a business opportunity for myself. And so having that culmination of time in Calgary and then in British Columbia, where we live post my football career, and bringing it all to here has been a great opportunity.
How often does your football career come up?
In Regina, more than ever,
right.
To be very honest. But that's a great thing. I mean, I've always said that without Saskatchewan, without the Rider fans, without the Rider organization, the CFL may not even exist today. And I think there's a lot to be said about that comment. I was in the league when we had some very, very lean times. We had leaner times even prior to me getting into the league, but the green and white really sort of is emboldened all the way through Canada, is representative in every CFL city. The opportunities that the Riders of individuals that they brought into the league, both from an administrative standpoint, the coaches' perspective, player, who have all contributed, and just the push of what the CFL means to Canada is really resonated here in Regina. And so it is very often, it does come up a lot. And that being said, I also had some of my great games against Saskatchewan too, so maybe that's still in the minds of people.
Well, of course. And actually, I'm looking at this 4-time All-Star, 5-time CFL West Division All-Star, 3-time All-Canadian, Stamps all-time leading scorer. I mean, this is a Hall of Fame career. But I do remember this. If McLaughlin's lining up a field goal and I'm calling the game, I might as well just get up and go to the bathroom, because it's not a miss. Like, it's automatic. What of your career, what are you most proud of, by the way?
I'd say, Rod, I go back. 1991 is really, I think, a turning point for the Stampeder organization. I came in, 88 was my first year, and it was 88 to 89.
Was that Koharich?
Yeah, Larry Koharich. Yeah, very, very challenging years. Change of ownership, going into private ownership, with Larry Rickman coming in and sort of saving the team at that time. As players, we just didn't know if we were getting paid or whether the checks would bounce, or it was a pretty rough period of time. And we fought through that. Wally was appointed head coach in 1990. 1991, we ended up in the Western Final against Edmonton, up in Commonwealth, in an environment that we had struggled for many, many years, and we needed to sort of break through, get over that hump, to start to prove to ourselves that we could be a championship caliber team. And late in the game, we won. I kicked a field goal right at the 3-minute mark at the break that got us in sort of aiming for the potential to win. And then the Danny Barrett to Pee Wee Smith touchdown, and Pee Wee running through the field and then up into the locker room in Commonwealth. And then, going on to the Grey Cup in 91, which we lost to Toronto and Dunnigan. But it was an opportunity where we sort of, we did break through, and we started to prove to ourselves, both as players, as an organization, and the city started to get confidence in the team. And then from there, we talk about sort of dynasty years for organizations, and certainly the 90s and 2000s for Calgary have been phenomenal. And so to be a part of that, and on the front end, and then have the chance to play in 6 Grey Cups and win 3, and be a part of that great tradition has been and was a lot of fun.
This feels like, Nick, like a football life interview. That's what it feels like to me, a documentary. I love it. But so you guys intersected?
No.
What was your first year, Nick?
2004.
Oh, you just missed then.
Yeah, just
and
missed.
I think you were in BC then, though.
So I went. So 03 was my last year in Calgary. 2004, Wally asked me to come and help out on the back end of the season. So I played a third of a season in BC. When I got there, we were 11-1, and we ended up 11-7. Landed in first place and didn't succeed. But it was, that opportunity as well to go back and just sort of finish off a career, proving that you can still do it after, what had transpired in Calgary at the tail end of my career. But also, some real good sort of learning opportunities that year in respect to seeing a cultural divide inside a locker room. The impact of, sort of divisions, cliques, how it affects organizations, not just teams on the field, but entire organizations, and how, it potentially turns the corner on a franchise. And so just to be a part of that and to see it from the outside in and then inside directly was a bit of a learning for me as well.
Well, and Nick, you jump in anytime, but I'm enjoying this Calgary football talk. Believe it or not, Nick.
I am too.
But I've said to Wally, and obviously you're close with him. Obviously, Mark, you're very close with Wally. I can just tell by what you're saying here. We had him on this show, and I said, "What's your secret to success, Wally?" And he said, "Roy Shivers, great players." I'm like, "Come on, Wally. There's more to like. I get the players are the most important thing."
Speaking of Roy, he should be in the Hall of Fame too.
Of course. Well, there's a lot of guys, but has anybody nominated him? That's a story for another time. But for Wally to be as successful as he was for as long as he was, there's something you're doing more than just the players. Mark, and you just basically said it. You're saying when he left, everything went haywire.
Yeah. Wally taught me one thing, and I've used it in a lot of my post-football and even during when I was playing a little bit in leadership roles, and that is you have to make continually subtle changes. Changes that are noticeable enough for people to not be comfortable, but not significant enough to really change the culture of an organization or a team completely. And so being able to just learn from that, really understanding sort of the mindset. Wally was a very closed individual when he, during my years in Calgary, where not a lot of people really knew kind of what he was thinking, what he was planning on doing. He would just go and execute it, and he would stand by his decisions, right or wrong. And I remember having a couple of conversations with him about some decisions that he had made that he had regretted. But he also put that out there publicly too. So he was willing to acknowledge when he was wrong. We always said it was, it's Wally's world, right? It's not black or white. It's either black, white, or Wally's way, right? And then you just you dealt with it. But his success spoke for itself. He had some great teams. Developed some really strong individuals on that team, and as well, guys that coached with him went on and also had some great success as well. So, there was a lot of learning that went on for players.
We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, Romby Bryant will join us via video chat as we'll continue this Stampeders theme today on The Rod Pedersen Show. You're watching on Facebook Live and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.